Oh my god, you guys, you're never gonna believe this. There's this lady on TikTok who lives in Arizona who is obsessed with her therapist, and she has her ChatGPT call her the Oracle. She's like basically a stalker psychopath. You just have to watch the video. Hold on.
Did you guys see that woman's grocery haul? You have to know who I'm talking about.
Oh my god, you guys, you're never gonna guess what's happening on TikTok right now. Gossiping with other people is something that pretty much anyone who's ever lived has done. Since the beginning of language, I would say, it has been an important part of spreading information, informing each other of things going on, and just a vital part of a functioning society. However, as I was scrolling through TikTok the other day, yes, I am back on TikTok. I was on vacation. Can a girl brain rot at the beach? Don't come for me. I want to delete it again. I will delete it again. Anyways, I found myself watching multiple TikToks about this lady who was essentially obsessed with her therapist and believed that they had a romantic relationship. She claims that she was deeply in love with him and that he used his position of power to manipulate her because she was his client, back and forth. Overall, a very weird scenario. I found myself falling down a rabbit hole of watching her basically crash out online, but then it wasn't just watching her videos, it was watching videos other people made about her who didn't even know her, and they were just basically recapping what she was saying on her lives and just in her videos in general.
Y'all, can we please talk about how the lady who fell in love with her psychiatrist has literally gone off the rails?
Kendra was supposed to come back Thursday or Friday.
And he asked me, he said, "See you next month?"
And I kept watching and watching and watching and watching until I eventually kind of snapped out of it, and I was like, why have I been watching 3 hours worth of this lady crash out online, and why the hell am I watching 3 hours of people talking about this lady crash out online? They don't know this lady, I don't know this lady, why do I keep watching this lady? Anyways, after I dug myself out of that hole, it made me think about the early 2000s in tabloids. When paparazzi would hunt celebrities down to find their issues that they're having in life and then eventually sell those pictures to give them to magazines who would just drag them through the mud over and over and over again until people got bored of them. I feel like this tabloid culture is similar to the way that we consume tea, gossip, drama media online. And the more I thought about it, the more I just don't understand why people love to exploit other people's pain for entertainment. Tabloids have been a well-known bad thing for basically as long as they have existed. If you for some reason don't know what a tabloid is, it is this. These slimy headlines with their unflattering photos, and usually they're just filled with a bunch of made-up lies. Sometimes true, usually lies. Tabloids in the past and the ones that exist still today typically focus on celebrities and or very rich people, just anyone who is in the public eye. Paparazzi would lurk around outside waiting to snap a photo of the unsuspecting celebrity to sell them to magazines for as much money as they could get, usually probably not that much. And they typically did not care about the celebrity if they were hurting them, exploiting them, whatever. It didn't matter. They were getting their $100. I feel like today we don't see as much of this traditional celebrity tabloid anymore. Typically, the only time we see paparazzi pictures are when celebrities call them on themselves because they're bored or want to promote something. I think it's a well-known fact nowadays that most people that have paparazzi photos taken of them typically called it on themselves. For example, this totally not staged video of Addison Rae a few years ago where she's just making TikTok dances and oh my god, paparazzi, I didn't even see you there. Whoa. Paparazzi and exploitive journalism like tabloids are very problematic. And for a while, it was great. We had progressed as a society where we could only really find these tabloids in grocery store checkout lines. But I fear with the resurgence of TikTok and short form content that they have returned and have transformed into something that is arguably worse. And you may be wondering, who is the culprit of this? TikTok tea pages and gossip posters. There wasn't really a word for these people, so I just made it up. TikTok tea pages are very sneakily horrible. I think a lot of people, including myself, don't realize how much we engage with this Perez Hilton-esque content. Like, remember Perez Hilton? Maybe you don't remember him? Everyone hated him because he was a freak who exploited a bunch of celebrities. And he was just a weirdo in general. These things that Perez Hilton did were massively shamed, and I feel like now everyone just kind of does that on TikTok, like, casually. Gossip channels, in my opinion, are like watching a car crash and then someone starts running up alongside the car car to tell you about what happened in the car crash. And to make the issue even worse, there's not just one car crash, there's 1,000 car crashes, and there's not just one person trying to tell you about it, there's 10,000 people trying to tell you about it. And oh great, now my car is blocked, now I can't get away from the car crash. The worst part of this whole thing, in my opinion, is it's not just celebrities being exploited anymore, which is still bad, but it's just normal people being exploited by other normal people for entertainment.
And actually, I was gonna say, tomorrow we're filing, and he's filing for custody of his child tomorrow.
Breaking down what the fuck is going on TikTok today. Hub's life begging for Galaxy's drama explained.
A woman who is friends with Kendra, the woman that fell in love with her psychiatrist, is speaking out about her coaching business.
Not only do these channels normalize bullying to an extent, but they also desensitize us to understand when someone is going through a crisis. And for what reason do people make these videos? Like, so someone can make $10 recapping a video of someone clearly going through something online because people enjoy watching other people crash out because it makes them feel superior? Well, yes. In my opinion, the reason people find this content so interesting is because they're just so bored in their own lives. Like, they don't have someone in their real life to gossip about, so they have to turn to the internet to just make fun of someone random. And I don't really see what benefit someone gets from that aside from like very, very slight entertainment, if you can even call it that. While they were very popular because people got entertainment from it, I think a reason a lot of people liked these tabloids was because all the stories were very sensationalized. They almost felt like fiction. Most people expected when reading the inside scoop about Kate Middleton or Paris Hilton that a lot of the story, like majority of the story, was probably false, if not completely false. And while these rumors could be harmful to these celebrities or their brands in the past, it wasn't ever really gonna harm them that much. I feel like it was like 10% when a tabloid broke where that person actually suffered real consequences from what came out. Now we see the same phenomenon happening with normal people where they are being harassed and it could actually impact their real life. I think this is especially diabolical when someone posts a story time or a video of a person when it's someone else and it's not like them in the video. Because usually it revolves around the person being kind of rude or whatever and they want the internet to go attack them or vent about their feelings, but you know the internet's gonna take you too far if you're venting about your feelings. Like, don't get me wrong, obviously there's a spectrum to this. If someone's being like racist, homophobic, or just in general like a actual cruel, morally despicable person, that's a little different to try to get them fired from their job. But I feel like a lot of times I'll see videos of someone just being like kind of rude and it's like, yeah, like don't be a rude person, but that's not illegal. That's not illegal. We've all been rude to people in our lives. I don't condone being an asshole, but I also don't condone people calling for pitchforks when someone didn't say thank you at the takeout line. I'll get more into that later though. Anyways, another layer of tabloids that I find very interesting compared to what's happening online nowadays is while tabloids were usually useless gossip, they were also a way to kind of track what was happening in culture at the time. They tracked what was in and out when it came to fashion, beauty, and general people at the moment. Whereas on TikTok, first of all, almost all these videos are not even going to be traceable existing on the internet in about 15 years, so they aren't going to hold any cultural significance in that way usually, but they don't provide any value. While TikTok tabloids sometimes do revolve around influencers and celebrities, which would make more sense in the traditional way, it's more often than not that it's just focusing on some random person who will be forgotten in a week from now. Obviously, when you post online, you're subjecting yourself to criticism and to have people comment on what you're doing, but these people with 200 followers do not need hordes of people rushing to their pages to see the disaster unfold in real time. Like tabloids, something TikTok users are a big fan of is bullying people or like adjacently bullying people. By adjacent bullying, I mean people pretending to support them, but in reality they're actually making fun of them, and then the creator like maybe or maybe doesn't know, and usually it's very backhanded. And because bullying is so like popular online, a lot of people will like unionize together to bully people together in the name of community. I feel like I've seen so many videos where people are like, oh my god, did you see this person? Wow, we're all watching this person together. That's so crazy. It's like we're in this club and we're watching this person like
die on the internet.
And while it may start as people being like, oh my god, that's so silly, that's so crazy, this person's doing that, usually it turns sour. And I feel like it's inevitable that things get taken way too far. I feel like there's two tiers to this. There's Lolcows and and then like whatever is right below that. Per the Urban Dictionary definition, a lolcow is a person or group of people laughed at for actions that they take, despite not trying to be funny. They may try to take themselves seriously, but are often milked for laughs with or without their knowledge. I think one of the worst examples of this in recent history of a lolcow is World of T-Shirts Joshua Block, who in my opinion got lolcowed, if that can even be used in that way, got lolcowed into being a homeless alcoholic. And this happened because he continually put himself, but other people also put him into unsafe situations under the guise of like, you're so famous, Josh, I love you, like, let's go take shots, let's go, like, even though they were making fun of him, he thought it was him being famous in a sense. He was receiving a lot of attention for his drinking, and also he began to do this like World of T-Shirts tour in New York where he would drink with people and people would pay him for it. But maybe he did understand people were making fun of him, but it really doesn't seem like it. I feel like if he was never hyped up or made fun of in the way he was, he probably wouldn't have become what he is, which is an alcoholic, like a severe alcoholic. Because you can go through the history of his account and see where things began to go wrong as he began to get more popular and more famous. People wanted to collab with him, but they were just making fun of him. Also, I forgot to mention this, but I feel like it's actually important to this point. A lot of lolcows, including Joshua Block, World of T-Shirts, are typically autistic people, so it's easier for the people around them to manipulate them, especially if they struggle in certain social aspects of things like that. You know what I mean? Also, I'm not trying to defend World of T-Shirts. He's not a great person. Like, he got in a fist fight recently where he, like, punched him. I don't exactly know. But I don't think it's all entirely on him. I think there's a lot of what happened to him goes on to the audience as well. Not to be insensitive with this connection, but it's like in the tabloids when Britney Spears shaved her head and started bashing in car windows because she couldn't take it anymore. And those pictures were put in magazines for entertainment. The same way I feel like people post videos of, let's use Joshua Block for example. They post videos of him online kind of going crazy for entertainment and for views. And it's even more similar when you think about how those magazines printed those pictures of Britney to make money from them. The same way these monetized accounts will post videos and talk about other people like Joshua Block to make money from his pain. I don't want to talk about lolcows too much more because they genuinely make me really sad and also kind of nauseous thinking about someone like thinking people like them and then everyone just making fun of them, and there's so many more layers to that. If you don't know, look it up. It's just a very despicable cycle when it comes to lolcows. Anyways, what I want to focus on more when it comes to this like tabloid TikTok cycle is the people who are bullied, and they might realize they're being bullied, but they continue to post for some reason, usually because any attention is better than no attention. In my mind, this is kind of like when celebrities would call paparazzi on themselves in the past to kind of stir up more attention. There's a few people that this has happened to recently, at least on my TikTok For You page. There's the Kendra lady who I was talking about earlier who believes that she has a romantic relationship with her therapist or psychiatrist. There's people like Molly Rudder who do dating series that are sometimes real, sometimes fake. Usually they start real and they turn fake, and they usually are just rage baiting people with their horrible dates or what they're doing before the date or after the date, or just being general shady dating people. I don't totally understand why you would continue to post online aside from money if you continue to get like made fun of and bullied. But after some reflection on this and also some internal reflection, because I do sometimes watch these types of videos, I realized the reason these people get so popular is because the people watching have literally nothing better to do. They are so bored with their lives. People, sometimes including myself, I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, this is a self call out piece right now. After thinking about it, I just feel like if you don't hate yourself a little bit for watching content like this, especially lolcows, that is like kind of a different thing, but if you don't hate yourself a little bit for watching this content, you need to reflect on your morals and your values and what you're spending your time doing. But it's just a weird cycle. A lot of these people wouldn't be popular without people bullying them, and then a lot of people wouldn't have anyone to bully without these people posting online trying to get popular. It's just a bad back and forth cycle. If there's no one to watch someone crash out on the internet, did they even crash out? Another reason I don't think it's great to spotlight random people on the internet, especially if they're doing something kind of funky, is because they're going from no attention online to a ton of attention, and they go back to no attention, you know, the 15 minutes of fame idea. It's often that when people are going through something online or being cringy or whatever, they begin to gain a lot of followers just for those followers to not really engage with their content after they stop being a little wacky. I don't think it's bad for people to have their 15 minutes of fame, especially when it's not really harming them. But I would say that a good majority of the time, the person gets way too into it and then they end up harming themselves in the end. Not literally, but maybe just their social life or their professional life, you know what I mean. In the age of everyone and their mother wanting to be a social media star, this skyrocketing to fame and then like hard fall off can really have negative effects on someone's mental health. Let's use Risa Tisa for this, for example. She's not exactly this because people weren't going to her page to make fun of her or anything, and her stories were very entertaining, but she did have a crazy rise to fame and then a quick fall off as well. If you don't know who Risa Tisa is, she's the creator who made the Who the F Did I Marry series, which a bunch of other influencers did their own like kind of spin-off of. She blew up on the internet, gaining over 3 million followers, and I think like less than a week, which is crazy numbers. I'm pretty sure almost every video in her Who the F Did I Marry series has over 1 million views, and a lot of them have over 10 million views, which is an insane feat. The story is extremely entertaining. However, it's a bit of a double-edged sword because while people were following her and tapping into her series because they thought it was very interesting, which it was, people were following the story in the way of gossip. They weren't following her or for her other videos, her other content creation, but purely because of the story she was telling. However, now, months later, she only brings about 20k views in for each video, which isn't nothing, but for 3 million followers, it's not exactly like crazy numbers. I'm pretty sure after all this happened, she was very pleased with like people really enjoying her story, but it didn't affect her life totally aside from maybe the money. But I don't think that she was anticipating that she wanted to become a huge influencer or anything like that. Why I brought her up as an example, however, was imagine that scenario, but say it was someone who really wanted to be a social media star. That drop off would hurt so bad. I cannot imagine the highs and lows of going online, being the center of attention on the internet, hopefully making a ton of money, and then just going back to your normal life all in the span of like a month, maybe less. It's like microdosing being Chappell Roan for a week, and we all know that Chappell Roan did not like how fast she blew up and thought it was absolutely horrible for her mental health. I think because we see select cases of people blowing up and being able to maintain their like influencer longevity, for example Bad Baby, people think this 1 in a million chance will happen to them, and it just sets people up for if they have their viral moment to feel disappointed in the aftermath and just, you know, having that feeling of regret of like, oh, what could I have done? Risa Tisa is a sort of example of this because I know that in the aftermath of it all, she didn't quit her job. She didn't do anything necessarily that changed her life. So she was pretty much set from before she blew up to after she blew up to just kind of maintain her regular life. The issue is a lot of people, when they begin to see themselves gain some momentum like this, just quit their jobs and leave everything behind. And then we see these people who just ditch their life because they had one viral moment end up just begging on TikTok live.
Guys, let's send 20 galaxies right now, you guys. Right now. I haven't given y'all a full life.
Which is just the saddest, most dystopian thing ever. I hate seeing people like, give me the galaxy, give me the galaxy. Oh, like damn, you're down bad for real. I feel like a lot of people don't realize that they can have a viral moment, but it most likely is just going to be a singular viral moment. And people end up kind of shooting themselves in the foot, getting too attached to this idea that they could be someone big online and make like a ton of money online. Quick side tangent here. I understand why people want to maintain their celebrity online stardom once they have it, and people want to try to continue to stay relevant because sometimes people do come back. Like they might get unpopular and then like really popular again. Like it's not impossible to kind of come back from the grave when it comes to being an online creator. But I think there comes a point when you're on TikTok live and you're cyber begging that you need to pack it up and realize it's time to go back to retail or something. Like anyways, back to what I was saying. Making random people the center of the internet for a week or two feels the same to me as when celebrities would dominate the tabloids for periods of time. While celebrities would typically sometimes try to suppress their virality and just hope that whatever was being said about them passed over in a week. However, people these days seem to want to be front page of the tabloid. They want all this attention to be coming towards them. A lot of people are under the delusion that any success online is good success online. This is just fully an opinion now, but I feel like I see a lot of people tell these really complex story times or admit to weird shit online or do weird shit online in hopes that they go viral enough to latch on to a bit of that virality to ride it into like a bigger career. People doing that just feels like the ultimate rage bait, even if they don't think they're being rage baiters necessarily. I feel like I see a lot of people regret using these tactics or trying to become viral in this sense because it is embarrassing afterwards. And I don't think it's embarrassing to post online like, hi, posting on the internet, but I think telling the internet like, I just pooped my pants and hoping people like and share it, not a good look for the future. And being viral can sometimes also brand you sort of like a one-trick pony where if anyone sees you in public or sees you online, they're like, do the thing. No, do the thing. I don't want to see you do that. Do the thing. And it never leaves you. Like, remember the corn kid? He wasn't even 7 years old. He didn't have a choice at that. Now he's just a corn kid forever. Thank God he's 7. Not thank God, because he was low-key being exploited. But in a good way, when he gets a little bit older, he's not going to look like how he looked when he was 7, so people won't recognize him as the corn kid. But that kid put in the work, and I can imagine probably for a few months after that happened, everyone was making him say, it's corn! But this idea of going viral and being a one-trick pony in a sense just has to be exhausting. And it's no surprise that normal people begin to feel this celebrity burnout almost immediately. I think another layer I find uncomfortable about normal people drama and people kind of latching on to these normal people crashing out online is often these people who are posting these issues or who are posting videos of other people. These people are often reduced to their situation they're in, and people don't even really see them as real people anymore. A lot of the time in these viral moments, people aren't even often referred to as their name, but instead just like the situation that's surrounding them.
Did you hear about that 3-year-old that accidentally broke a $1,600 coffee table?
And that's like step one to dehumanize someone, is just not even calling them by their name. And with this in mind, the other day I was thinking about how online, I feel like we're seeing a new version of the bystander effect. If you don't know what the bystander effect is, it's a social psychology phenomenon where individuals are less likely to help a victim when other people are present. Essentially, the more bystanders there are, the less likely any single person is to intervene in an emergency. This effect is often attributed to the diffusion of responsibility, where individuals feel less personal obligation to act when others are around, assuming someone else will take charge. Clearly, being online, there are millions and millions of people acting as bystanders in a sense. I don't think it's exactly the same as the true bystander effect definition because it's different because we're online. Obviously, like no one is physically in person with one another. We do see online people taking action in real life against people, as I mentioned earlier, trying to get people fired from their jobs. It can also happen in a positive way where, say, like the Keith Lee effect, where people will go in person to a restaurant because they saw someone online and they want to support it. But I think when it comes to being a bystander online, it's when a person chooses to engage with content as if it's like not real, like the person isn't real, they have no real sympathy for them. And it's not that they believe that the video is fake, but they just don't see it as a real thing happening, if that makes any sense. Which sometimes these videos and stuff online are fake, but I think people need to get better at distinguishing when someone is truly rage baiting or they're watching someone going through a crisis in front of their face on their phone. We'll use the Kendra lady, for example, that I was talking about earlier. People would just go on her live and screen record the whole thing to post on their own TikTok.
Watch your eyes.
Why did you trauma dump in your yoga class? I did not trauma dump in my yoga class. I just said that I was speaking my truth.
Maybe they would put in the caption like, I hope this lady gets better, or like some half-assed sympathetic take. But typically it was just watching her, taking it, uploading it, not use it against her, but to farm their own engagement. But it just lacks sympathy so hard. You might be thinking like, well, there's not really anything I can do. Like, I don't even live in the state she lives in or the country she lives in, and like, I don't even like comment anything mean. And yes, you're not directly harming her, but you're also sitting and watching. Like, you can't do anything, but what you could do is just leave her alone. Leave her alone. Someone in her real life will hopefully come and help her. Like, you don't even have to be a bystander. You can just not engage with the situation entirely. And it just sadly reinforces in my mind that a lot of times when people are watching stuff on their phone, they just don't see the people that they're watching as real people. And they see them purely as entertainment. Also, a different way this bystander effect is intersecting with online entertainment. As users of the internet, we've become so accustomed to either filming other people in public or being okay with other people filming other people in public. Like the fact that I have, and many people have, seen videos of people recording someone and the first instinct is to be like, haha, or like, no, whatever reaction you would have to the video, I don't know what it would be. Instead of being like, why the fuck is this person recording this other person? Like, yeah, if someone's attacking you or attacking someone else, record it for safety, but stop recording the cashier. The cashier doesn't want you to record them. It's like the constant state of being a bystander where you can't really help, but also you could not contribute to the problem. Just to hammer it home, we're just so desensitized to a lot of this on the internet when it comes to the bystander effect, watching people crash out in general. And people are so keen to record other people in public because they're so desensitized to the idea that that's weird, which just continues the cycle over and over again. Alright, to wrap up this video, it's crazy to say, but I think people need to start talking shit on their friends again. Gossiping in real life is usually less harmful and a great way to bond with other people. First, I feel like with gossiping in real life, the information can only spread so far. So you don't have to worry about being internationally hated or someone finding out something that they don't want to know in a realistic sense. Like if you gossip about your friends or your friends' friends, like the only people that are going to know about it are your inner circle, and that's alright to leave it that way. Not everyone needs to know everyone's business. I also think when it comes to gossiping in real life, it's so much easier to have nuance with the conversation and kind of understand the whole story, even if you're getting it from a single person's perspective. But it just gives you empathy for the real person, maybe because you actually know the person, but also because you're talking to someone face to face and you know that they are a real person. That's a whole mouthful. While gossiping in real life isn't always the most productive thing that you could be doing with your time, it is not that bad. Doing it online, a little bit different. It has a purpose and a place in our real lives where watching someone online and talking shit about someone online that you don't know doesn't have a place in your life, to be quite honest. You don't need to do that. It won't change your life if you never engage with bullying or gossiping about someone online again. Unless you make money off of it, but then you're kind of a scumbag in a different way. But when it comes to online tea, it just preoccupies space in our brain that we could be using for literally anything else. Anyways, that's the end of the video. I'm sweating my D off. I need to turn my AC back on. Thank you for watching. I'm almost at 10K. I plan on making 3 videos when I hit 10K. They're all gonna be fun, silly, crazy. It's gonna be good. Stay tuned for that. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't already, subscribe down below. Mwah.